With the NBA offseason coming to a full close and the NBA season getting ready to start in a matter of days, there is still drama. Oh, there is drama. I'm DeeTrynt. We are in the marvelous Hollywood studios. And right now, I want to talk about James Harden. All right. James Harden, in his NBA career so far, has established himself as one of the best players, one of the most potent franchise players. His ability to take anyone off the dribble, finish at the rim with either hand, floaters, pass, and range from anywhere on the court just makes him just a remarkable talent. He has also shown that he could play on the defensive end, and it's surprising that people question his defense, being that when he came out of ASU, he was kind of known for his defense, especially as a lefty. All right, he was at OKC. You know, he's over there with Durant and Westbrook and Ibaka, and then Houston gave up all that collateral to get him over there. And then they got him with Clint Capella. They got him with Eric Gordon. Then they brought over Chris Paul. And they brought over Carmelo Anthony. And they brought over Russell Westbrook. And at this point, it just don't work. You know what I mean? It gets to that point where you done tried so many. I mean, it's like a relationship, We tried this way. We tried that way. We went about it this other way, and we're just still not getting the results that we envisioned getting. So at that time, it's a change of scenery. It's time for a change of scenery for both, for both entities, for James Harden and for the Houston Rockets. They already got rid of superstar GM Daryl Morey, who, him and owner Jimmy Fertitta, I guess, came to a mutual agreement to go ahead and part ways, and he goes to Philly. Now he's helping Coach Doc Rivers build that franchise up. Mike D'Antoni, who was the orchestrator of that team and the architect of how they played around James Harden, is now no longer the head coach there. He's an assistant coach with the Brooklyn Nets, playing under his former one of the people who helped make his offense what it is and give it the publicity that it has, and Steve Nash. They're over there with the Brooklyn Nets and Kyrie and KD and all that. So what I want to talk about with James Harden is, for one, James Harden clearly wants out, and it's understandable. He specifically said he wanted to go to Brooklyn. In my personal opinion, he's not going to Brooklyn. If he is going to Brooklyn, it won't be till later on in the season, and I personally don't think Houston is going to wait that much longer. The teams that I personally, just off the top of my head, think have the most to give Houston to acquire James Harden, in my opinion, is Denver and Chicago. Now, people will say, well, he said he wanted to go to a contender. All right, the East is potent, but we're not going to act like Chicago don't got some pieces. I mean, they do got Zach LaVine. They do got Otto Porter Jr., Lauren Marketing, Wendell Carter Jr., Kobe White. They just drafted Patrick Williams with the 4th overall pick in this draft. So, I mean, they could literally give up, Otto Porter Jr., a few future first-round picks, and they probably could throw in a Thaddeus Young, or I don't think they'd be willing to part with Marketing, even though I wouldn't be surprised if Houston wanted Marketing. But I think they'll value the draft picks more than the player right now, being that they have John Wall and Christian Wood and Eric Gordon and DeMarcus Cousins. And this is kind of a transition year for them. So, I mean, taking on Otto Porter Jr., who only has a year or two left on his contract, taking a bunch of draft picks, and Thaddeus Young, who only has a year left on his contract, I mean, it wouldn't be too bad. John Wall got 3 years left on his contract, so at least those pieces will give them, something to at least bring the cap back down, or, they can use those pieces to facilitate another trade. But I think Harden with Kobe White, Zach LaVine, Wendell Carter Jr., I think they could make a lot of noise in the West, especially if they keep Marketing. I think they can make a lot of noise in the West. I mean, in the East. In the West, I like Denver because you could ultimately offer Michael Porter Jr. and Bo, and you probably throw in a Will Barton, okay, and then now you can get a lineup of uh, Jamal Murray, James Harden, Gary Harris Jr. With Millsap and Jokic, and that'll be a formidable opponent right there. You know what I mean? Houston would get something back in return and things like that. I thought about Popovich. All right, it's been quite a many seasons since Greg Popovich has been relevant and making noise. I thought about, hey, what if Pop said, look, we got some draft picks. You know, we got DeJounte Murray or Devin White and a couple other pieces, and maybe he would want to they could try to pair Harden with DeRozan and Aldridge and do something over there. My whole thing is, though, that I think it's highly unlikely James Harden goes to the Brooklyn Nets. I think it is. I don't think Philadelphia is willing to part ways with Ben Simmons. I just don't see it. So, and I don't see how Ben Simmons would fit with John Wall. I think if Brooklyn does pull off the trade for James Harden, it's going to be a 4 or 5 team trade because they're going to have to move people around and move pieces around to make everything fit. Another dilemma I have with Brooklyn making this trade right now is Brooklyn hasn't seen what Kyrie and KD look like together in order to truly determine what will fit with them to make this team work. You would need 10, 15, 20 games to just see, what it's going to be like, how healthy each guy is, and what each guy's going to be like when they actually get all the way into basketball form. So, the teams that James Harden would like to go to and the teams that he will actually most likely end up on is different. Now, I could see Indiana possibly getting in this. All right, Indiana has Sabonis, with T.J. Warren, Oladipo, Brogdon. I could see them shipping Oladipo and Miles Turner off and trying to acquire James Harden. I don't think James Harden will necessarily like that fit. I'm pretty sure James Harden wants to play with another star or somebody who's already contending for the ship right now. So that begs the question, could Boston get in this? What could you see Boston? Could you see this? Boston giving up Kemba Walker and, some picks, a plethora of picks, maybe a Langford or some type of wing. It wouldn't be a Jaylen Brown or a Tatum. They'll be trying to keep them. They can't trade Tristan right now. Um, I mean, could you see that possibly? Could that be pulled off? I don't know. I'm pretty sure Houston is looking to trade James Harden to the East. The last thing they want to do is trade him to the West. But like I say, a team like Denver is attractive because they have some pieces. Um, I mean, you could say a team like Dallas, but it wouldn't work with Luka, because Luka's ball dominant. You could say Sacramento, but he said he wanted to go to a contender, and I'm not. I just can't say the Kings are contending in the West right now. So he would definitely be an East team. Now, another team that's not being said though, but is looking for a third star to pair with Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo is the Miami Heat. I could see Miami offering up, as crazy as this sounds, I could see Miami going and building a package around Tyler Hero and some picks to get James Harden with Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. And I mean, don't get me wrong, Tyler Hero is going to be a star in this league. He is going to be a star, but I don't think Pat Riley would pass up a chance to get James Harden. And he can keep Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. It's just hard to see that happening. I think though the way James Harden is going about it though, I mean, it's pretty funny. You already know what time of climate it is, man. He in Houston. Little baby has a party. He showed up. I don't care about none of that. You feel me? Houston ain't really trying to lose him because, they just offered him $100 million 2-year extension. He turned that down. So I figured when he turned that down, you already knew he was trying to get up out of there. He out partying. He ain't trying to show. He ain't talk to nobody. I mean, just think about it. You traded his boy. You know what I'm saying? His GM gone. His coach gone. You feel me? Most of the team he played with, I mean, the only people still there is what? Him, House, PJ Tucker, Eric Gordon. And I'm pretty sure them guys probably on their way out in some type of capacity too. So, I mean, James Harden want to go, you know, and this is the NBA now. The players control where they want to go. But Houston still is in a position of power because they got the rights to him. So for all they could be concerned, they'd be like, hey, you can sit down and don't play the whole year and we don't care. And, you know, you be the only one missing out. We gonna pay you regardless. You know what I mean? But I don't think Houston should lose out. They definitely gave up a lot to get him. They definitely got made a lot of money with him and seen a lot of success. But, you know, a trade to Brooklyn just seemed, because you gonna need to give up Karis LeVert and Jared Allen. All right. Then you gotta give up a contract to make it fit. So now we talking about Taurean Prince, Spencer Dinwiddie. Ultimately, the Nets are going to give up at least 3 players, possibly 4 players, to get one. And that player is taking up a lot of contracts, so that don't leave them a lot of flexibility. The dynamic of them working will be interesting because KD is the only one who doesn't necessarily have to dominate the ball to get his. James Harden can play off ball, but he be acting like a little sucker when he got to play off ball. He be pouting and crying and whining. You know what I'm saying? And Kyrie lightweight a lot of the same way. So this is another reason why I'm like, as much as he want to go to Brooklyn, it may not work. Like I say, I think Denver is the nicest spot. I think Chicago has the most to offer to acquire him. And I think Miami is a dark horse. So those are my predictions and landing spots for James Harden. We're going to see how it plays out. All right. There are a lot more interesting and insightful things I want to discuss with you all. So take the time out right now for me to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, or dislike. Leave some feedback in the comment section and be ready to watch the next episode of Game Changer Sports Talk live from the marvelous Hollywood Studios on the Goonie Tunes channel.